The morning is a mirror. Why the first hour shapes everything. You wake up and you're already tired. The alarm is ringing. Your heart is racing. Your phone lights up with news, emails, and to-dos. Before your feet even touch the ground, you're already overwhelmed. If this sounds like your morning, you're not alone. Most people start their day in a state of urgency, reacting before they've even had a chance to breathe. Their minds are running before their bodies are fully awake. They don't ease into the day. They crash into it. But what if I told you it doesn't have to be this way? In Buddhism, the first hour of the day is not just another part of the schedule. It's sacred. It's the most powerful window to shape not only your mindset, but your entire way of being. The way you greet the morning becomes the way you greet the world. And the way you greet the world becomes the way you live your life. This isn't about waking up earlier. It's about waking up deeper. It's about reclaiming the silence that belongs to you before the world begins to demand your attention. Because that first breath, that first thought, that first step carries more power than you think. When I was a young monk, my teacher told me, "Master the morning and the rest of the day will follow like a shadow." At the time, I didn't fully understand. But now, after decades of practice, I've come to see the morning is not just the beginning of the day. It's the reflection of your inner world. It's the mirror. The Buddha taught that the mind is like a garden. If you neglect it, weeds will grow. But if you tend to it, even for just a few minutes each morning, you plant seeds of mindfulness, gratitude, and compassion. And those seeds grow into presence, clarity, and peace. Modern science agrees. Neurologists have found that the brain is most receptive during the first hour after waking. This is when you have the greatest power to set your emotional tone, to direct your focus, to decide how you want to show up in the world. Let me share the story of Julia, a high-level executive who once described her mornings as a mental sprint from the moment I opened my eyes. She constantly felt behind. But after learning about mindful morning rituals at a meditation retreat, she began a simple practice. No phone for the first 30 minutes. 3 deep breaths, a moment of gratitude, and a short intention. Within weeks, she noticed her anxiety fading. Her focus deepened, and her days began to feel like they belonged to her again. You don't need a perfect sunrise or an hour of silence to change your mornings. You only need a pause, a breath, a choice, to begin again, gently and with awareness. So tomorrow morning, before the world begins to shape you, shape yourself. The mirror is already waiting. Breath before the world, the sacred pause that changes everything. There's a moment each morning that almost no one notices. It's the moment right after you wake up, but before you move. Your eyes are open. The room is quiet. The light is soft. And in that silence, there's a space, a breath, a choice. Most people skip past it. They rush to the bathroom, grab their phones, dive into the day. But if you pause, even for just 10 seconds, something sacred begins to unfold. One of my teachers once said, "The most important part of the day is the part we never see, because we're too busy already living someone else's day." That stayed with me. In Buddhism, the breath is not just a function. It's a mirror of your awareness. To breathe consciously is to return to yourself before the world starts pulling you apart. So before you do anything else tomorrow morning, don't get up. Don't grab anything. Just notice you're alive. Let the breath come. Let it stay, and feel what it's like to begin without running. The Buddha once said, "Just as a musician tunes their instrument before playing, so must we tune our mind before engaging with the world." And the breath is that tuning. It's always with you. You don't have to buy it. You don't have to learn it. You only need to notice it. There's a story about a young monk who once told the Buddha, "Master, from the moment I wake, my mind rushes everywhere. I feel like I've already lost the day before I've begun." The Buddha gently replied, "Then do not chase your thoughts. Greet the morning with stillness, return to your breath, and let the wind pass. Sometimes, the deepest wisdom comes from doing the simplest thing. Modern science is catching up. Researchers have found that just 5 slow, conscious breaths can activate your parasympathetic nervous system, lowering your heart rate, calming your stress response, and returning your body to balance. Your breath is not just air. It's your built-in medicine, your reset button, your sacred pause. Let me tell you about Marcus. He was a busy father of 3, juggling emails, carpool, client calls. Mornings were chaos. But after learning about mindful breathing, he made one small change. Every morning, before doing anything else, he sat on the edge of his bed and took 5 slow breaths. At first, it felt pointless. But by the 3rd breath, something shifted. I could feel my jaw unclench, my shoulders drop, my heartbeat slow down, he said. He wasn't escaping his life. He was returning to it. This isn't about doing more. It's about doing nothing, intentionally, for a few seconds. It's about choosing to be awake before you start doing things. Because if you don't claim the first moment of your day, the world will claim it for you. Breathing mindfully isn't about being spiritual. It's about being present. It's a way of saying, before I face the world, I choose to meet myself. So tomorrow morning, don't rush. Don't reach for your phone. Reach for yourself. Breathe first, before the world begins. A heart that whispers, practicing gratitude in a noisy world. You wake up to 3 emails marked urgent, a headline that makes your chest tighten, and a mental checklist already buzzing before your feet hit the ground. No one's asking if your heart is calm, just if you've responded. In a world that moves fast, loud, and demanding, gratitude feels almost unnatural. It's not what life pushes us to feel. It's what we have to pause and choose. And yet, it's in that quiet choice that something profound begins to shift. There's a moment, maybe you've felt it, when you're sipping coffee and the morning light hits just right. You feel warmth in your hands, and for no reason at all, you think, this is enough. That moment, that silent yes to life, is gratitude. And it doesn't shout. It whispers. In Buddhist teaching, gratitude isn't a reward for good times. It's a practice of awareness, a remembering. To be grateful is to see clearly that nothing you have truly belongs to you. Not your breath, not your food, not even your time. Everything is shared, borrowed, offered. Gratitude is how we bow to that truth. The Buddha once said, "Let us rise and be thankful. For if we didn't learn a lot today, at least we learned a little. And if we didn't learn a little, at least we didn't get sick. And if we got sick, at least we didn't die." So let us all be thankful. This isn't toxic positivity. It's clarity, the kind that sees through what's missing into what still remains. Gratitude doesn't ask your life to be perfect. It asks you to be present. And presence is something you can offer yourself, even on the hardest mornings. Emma, a single mother of 2, once told me she didn't believe in gratitude. She believed in surviving. Each morning felt like a race. Lunches to pack, bills to manage, deadlines to chase. But after one therapy session, she decided to try something small. Every morning, before touching her phone, she would name one thing she was thankful for. The first day, she said, coffee. The next, that my kids are safe. Then, that I woke up. 3 weeks in, she told me, I don't know if life is better, but I feel better living it. That's what gratitude does. It doesn't change your life. It changes how you meet your life. Science agrees. Studies from UC Berkeley and Harvard show that practicing gratitude rewires the brain, improving mood, sleep, immunity, even our relationships. Gratitude isn't about pretending things are perfect. It's about noticing that some things still are. Everything we love is temporary. The coffee cools. The kids grow up. The sunrise fades into traffic. Gratitude is how we bow to what's here before it's gone. It's how we say, I see you, to life before it moves on. So tomorrow morning, when the world begins shouting its demands, pause. Don't look for something big. Listen for something small. A moment, a breath, a reason to whisper back, "Thank you." That whisper is your heart, and gratitude is how you hear it. The kindness within, compassion meditation, and the science of connection. You check your phone before you even sit up, a news alert, a complaint, a reminder you forgot something. And suddenly, you're not just tired, you feel disconnected from others, from yourself. Some mornings, it's not the world that feels loud, it's the weight inside you. You move through the routine, coffee, headlines, maybe a forced smile. But something's missing, not on your calendar, in your chest. A kind of hollowness that even sleep didn't heal. This is where compassion begins, not as something you give away, but as something you come home to. In Buddhism, compassion isn't some spiritual trophy. It's a practice, a choice, and in many ways, a remembering. The Buddha taught that when we touch suffering with awareness, whether it's our own or someone else's, we soften. And in that softening, we connect, not in theory, in real, human presence. The world often tells us, toughen up, move on, don't feel too much. But compassion is the opposite. It's choosing to stay open when everything in you wants to shut down. It's being with your pain, not to fix it, but to witness it with kindness. There's a story I want to share with you. Alina, a nurse in a busy ER, told me she used to pride herself on staying detached. "It was the only way I could get through the day," she said. Death, trauma, anger. She learned to move fast and feel nothing. Detach, or you'll break, her supervisor warned. And so she did. But over time, something inside her began to dry out. She wasn't broken, but she realized she was no longer whole. One night, after a long shift, she sat in her car and cried. Not from one specific case, but from all of them. That's when she searched for a way to feel again and found something called compassion meditation. At first, it felt silly. Sit still? Repeat phrases like, "May I be well." But she tried it. "May I be safe. May I be patient. May I be kind to myself." And slowly, something shifted. The numbness began to thaw. Over the next few weeks, she included others in her practice, her patients, her coworkers, even the man who once screamed at her. "I stopped seeing them as cases," she said. "I started seeing them as human." Science echoes what Alina discovered. Studies from Stanford and Emory University show that compassion meditation activates parts of the brain linked to empathy, emotion regulation, and connection. It increases oxytocin, the bonding hormone, and lowers cortisol, the stress hormone. But more than chemicals, it restores something you didn't know you had lost: your ability to care. The beauty of this practice is that it asks so little. You don't need to be perfect or healed. You just sit, you breathe, you offer. Simple words, sometimes to people you love, sometimes to those you don't, and sometimes to yourself. "May I be gentle with my pain. May I forgive the part of me that's tired. May I soften where I've gone hard. May I remember I'm still worthy of love." Then, when you're ready, you offer that same compassion outward, to someone close, to someone distant, to someone difficult, not just for the world, for the tired mom, for the anxious teen, for the version of you you've tried to forget. Some people say compassion is weakness, but in a world that numbs us, compassion is resistance. It's strength. It's remembering that your heart still works, and it's still capable of reaching others. So tomorrow morning, when you feel overwhelmed or alone, take 1 minute to return. Bring to mind someone you love, then someone you struggle with, then yourself, and offer this small, silent gift. May we all be well. May we all be free. May we all find peace. More than a to-do list, setting intentions with presence and purpose. You wake up already behind. The to-do list is waiting. So are the emails, the errands, the expectations. Before your feet touch the floor, the day has already claimed you. You're not sure who you want to be today. You're just trying to keep up. In Buddhism, clarity isn't about having a perfect plan. It's about pausing long enough to ask one essential question: how do I want to live this moment? This is the heart of intention, not a task, not a goal, but a quiet direction of being. The Buddha taught that right intention is one of the core elements of the path. And it doesn't begin with doing. It begins with remembering. Setting an intention is like lighting a candle before walking into the unknown. It doesn't change the path, but it helps you walk it with presence, with purpose, with peace. Jack, a high school teacher in Ohio, used to begin each day with stress, emails before breakfast, lesson plans while brushing his teeth. Even on weekends, his mind raced. At a mindfulness retreat, he heard something that stayed with him: don't just wake up to your day. Wake up to yourself. He began a simple practice. Each morning, before touching a screen, he sat for 1 minute and asked, who do I want to be today? Sometimes the answer was, I want to be patient. Other times, I want to listen more than I speak. Or, I want to protect my peace. He wrote the intention on a sticky note and placed it in his wallet, right next to grocery receipts and his kids' school photos. Throughout the day, that note became his compass. When the classroom got loud or the inbox felt overwhelming, he didn't react out of habit. He paused. He remembered. He chose again. Intentions are quiet, but they're not weak. They don't shout like goals or hustle like ambition. They whisper. And in that whisper, they ask the one question that matters. Who are you becoming while you're getting things done? Science backs this up. Studies from UCLA and the University of Pennsylvania show that setting a daily intention improves emotional regulation, mental focus, and even long-term resilience. Not because life becomes easier, but because you're more rooted in who you are. Because if you don't set the tone for your day, someone else will. The beauty of intention is that it's always available. It doesn't require more time, just more presence. You can whisper it in bed before rising. Write it on your mirror. Carry it in your breath. Today, may I move with kindness. Today, may I act with courage. Today, may I speak with honesty. Today, may I protect what matters. Intentions are not rules. They are reminders. Not burdens, but beacons. They won't keep your day from falling apart, but they will help you stay whole when it does. So tomorrow morning, before your calendar takes over, don't just ask what you need to do. Ask who you want to be while doing it. That one question may not change your schedule, but it just might change your life. The body as a temple, moving with mindfulness and grace. Most of us wake up already in motion. The body moves, but the mind is far ahead. Emails, tasks, worries, appointments. And somewhere along the way, we forget we even have a body at all. You stretch, you yawn, you shuffle to the kitchen. But your awareness, it's not with you. It's in your schedule, in your inbox, in your head. And your body becomes background noise, something to push, drag, ignore. In Buddhism, the body is not just a container for the mind. It is the temple of presence. The Buddha taught walking meditation not to slow us down, but to bring us back to where life actually happens, in the breath, in the step, in the weight of your own existence. Maya, a 42-year-old software engineer, once described her body as the thing I use to carry my brain around. She spent most of her mornings scrolling, most of her days sitting, and most of her nights feeling disconnected. But at a weekend retreat, something shifted. The teacher said, don't just wake up your mind, wake up your body. So the next morning, Maya stepped outside barefoot. She stood on the cool grass. She felt the wind on her skin. She inhaled deeply, letting her spine rise like a mountain. And in that stillness, something softened. It wasn't exercise. It was presence. And in that moment, she realized her body wasn't the enemy of her productivity. It was the gateway back to her humanity. Science now echoes what ancient wisdom has long taught. Studies from Harvard and the University of Wisconsin show that even a few minutes of mindful movement, yoga, tai chi, walking slowly, can lower cortisol, improve cognitive clarity, and increase emotional regulation. But more than results, what matters is relationship. Your relationship to the body you live in. Is it a burden? A machine? An afterthought? Or is it a living, breathing temple? You don't need a fancy mat or perfect posture. You don't need a gym or a goal. You need just one breath, one stretch, one moment of listening. Stand tall, even if you're tired. Roll your shoulders with kindness. Walk slowly, not to impress, but to arrive. Let movement become your meditation. Let motion become your prayer. Because when you move with mindfulness, you're not just exercising your body. You're remembering that you're alive. You're saying to your day, I'm here, not just in thought, but in form. So tomorrow morning, before you chase the next thing, take one sacred pause. Place your feet on the ground. Breathe. Let your body speak. And for once, let your mind listen. What if your body has been whispering all along, and today is the first time you hear it? The sacred bite. Eating with awareness in a distracted world. We consume everything so fast, content, news, food, that we forget what it means to actually receive. You're standing in the kitchen, scrolling through your phone, barely aware that you've already finished half your breakfast. Or maybe it's lunch, eaten in front of a glowing screen, with messages coming in and thoughts rushing out. You chew, you swallow. But do you actually taste? In a distracted world, eating has become automatic, another task to complete, not a moment to experience. But food was never meant to be background noise. In Buddhism, eating is considered a sacred act, not because the food is extravagant, but because life is present in every bite. When you eat with awareness, you're not just nourishing your body, you're touching everything that made that meal possible. The soil, the sun, the rain, the hands that harvested and prepared it. Every bite is a quiet reminder you are not separate from this world. You are fed by it. There's a well-known story about a young monk who rushed through his meals, always thinking of his next duty. One day, the Buddha gently asked, "Do you truly taste your food, or do you merely fill your stomach?" The monk paused and realized he had never truly eaten a single meal in his life. From that moment on, he ate slowly, silently, with full attention. And that simple shift turned every meal into a meditation. Modern science echoes what ancient wisdom has long known. Research from Harvard and the University of California shows that mindful eating improves digestion, reduces stress, and helps regulate emotional eating. When we slow down, we give the body time to process, the brain time to register satisfaction, and the mind time to arrive. Nick, a graphic designer in his 30s, had spent years eating on autopilot. Breakfast was something grabbed in the car. Lunch was multitasked between Zoom calls. Dinner was often skipped or rushed. Food was fuel, nothing more. But during a mindfulness retreat, he was asked to eat one meal in total silence. No phone, no conversation, just breath and bite. At first, it felt awkward, even forced. But then, something shifted. He noticed the warmth of the soup, the color of the rice, the texture of the vegetables. He felt full, not just in his body, but in his spirit. Before that meal, food was fuel. After it, food became connection. That evening, he wrote in his journal, "I didn't just eat, I received." Mindful eating isn't about restriction. It's about reverence. It's not about counting calories. It's about counting moments. When we eat with awareness, we reclaim something the world constantly steals, our presence. So tomorrow morning, when you sit down for breakfast, try this before your first bite. Pause. Notice the color of your food, its scent, its shape. Think about where it came from, what it passed through to reach your plate. Then take one slow, conscious bite. Chew, taste, receive. Because when you eat with awareness, you're not just feeding your body, you're feeding your soul. Even a simple piece of toast becomes sacred when you truly taste it. Not because the food is fancy, but because you are finally present for it. Closing reflection. Mornings are a daily rebirth. Every morning is a chance to begin again, not just with your schedule, but with your spirit, not just with a plan, but with presence. Maybe you came to this video hoping for a calmer start, but what you found was something deeper, a return to breath, to stillness, to the quiet wisdom of intention, gratitude, movement, and awareness. You didn't just learn new habits. You remembered something ancient. You are allowed to live gently. In Buddhism, the morning is not just a time of day. It's a sacred doorway. And you cross it not by rushing, but by noticing, by listening, by arriving. You don't have to be who you were yesterday. And if today doesn't go as planned, that's okay, because the next breath is another beginning, and the one after that. So when the sun rises tomorrow, don't just wake up. Come back to your body, to your breath, to this very moment, fresh, new, and quietly waiting for you. And if this video gave you even one peaceful pause, consider subscribing or share it with someone whose mornings feel a little too heavy. You never know whose day you might quietly transform. There's more to come, more reflections, more reminders, more ways back to yourself. This path is long, but you don't have to walk it alone. Until next time, may your mornings be soft, your breath steady, and your heart at ease.